Cap Spare Solutions are market leaders in European cars such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Volkswagen, Jeep, and Land Rover. We stock a wide range of parts ranging from service parts, brake pads, suspension parts, lubricants, body parts, engine parts, radiators, and many more cooling parts and accessories. We have branches in Lusaka, Kitwe, Solwezi, and Livingston. We're currently running a promotion where if you mention that Z podcast, you instantly get a 5% discount on every purchase. Or use the promo code CAPS2111. Cap Spare Solutions, market leaders in European car parts.
I don't know why you're saving, like you want to press record when we start recording.
Dude, we're recording the important bit. That's the important thing.
Which is what?
The interview.
So the what? Now we're going to have to be doing this over and over again. All right, dude, count us the in for like the 10th goddamn time.
Oh, crap.
Count us in.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to that Z podcast. My name is K Plus, and he is
Uncle Elson. And if you can believe we're doing this for the second time. Because this genius over here.
Yeah. Tell them.
Now, do I speak about Starlink and Zamtel again?
Nah, it's fine, bro. Let's just talk about Eden House. We're at Eden House right now. This is Kabulonga, right? Some of the best food this country has to offer actually comes from Eden House right here in Lusaka, Kabulonga. Yeah. And also, when you talk about Cap Spares, we've been reminding people who drive European cars, talk about the Range Rovers, what else is European? Fiat, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Mini Coopers. If you drive any European car and you're looking for spares, Cap's Auto Spare Solutions is the place for you. You might want to head there now to get spares for your
Doesn't
vehicles.
matter how big, how small.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling this story for the second goddamn time.
Yeah.
I needed something as big as a steering rack.
Yes, because you drove in a puddle of water.
In a puddle of water.
Yeah.
In $1. And I couldn't get a steering rack anywhere in Zambia. The only other place I could get a steering rack was Germany. And then I remembered, wait, hold on, we know Bryson. So I called him, I gave him my VIN number, and literally in 1.5 weeks, I had my rack. Racks on racks.
So basically, like I said earlier again, any European car parts, Cap's Auto Spares is the company for you.
They're in Dollar, they're in Livingston.
Yeah.
They've got 2 stores in yeah, you can bring
Lusaka,
it, sir.
yeah.
In Lusaka.
You can give me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, that's it. This episode has El Mukuka. Let's get to it real quick.
Karibu wangu.
Tan 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 Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun.
Jesus
5, 4,
Christ,
3, 2, 1,
man.
and action. This guy knows how to count. properly.
No,
Count
but
us down.
can you go any faster, dude?
Anyway, welcome to that Z podcast. My name is K
Welcome.
Plus. Yes, I've lost my
Virginity?
no. Where is it? I've got yours.
Do you have me? Mic check.
Yeah, I've got you. No, I mean
No,
the,
there's a
the,
drop.
the,
There's a
the
drop
sound
like when he
effects.
introduces himself.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But anyway, let's get straight into it.
Wangu.
Kalebwangu.
Wangu.
Yeah. Today, very special guest, and special because this is one of the few.
Oh, you say that every time.
Yeah, no, he is
Thank
more special because he's one of the few international guests, apart from
Light skinned too.
the first mixed race.
I was about to say,
Yes.
does it count
Never
if you're
had.
mixed race? Because by default you're light skinned. If
Yeah,
you
you know?
if you right, if you're mixed race.
And whenever I think of your name, like your full real name,
Yeah.
it baffles me. Whose cruel idea was it to have the letter S in the word lisp? Because
Does he have a lisp?
no. Anybody with a lisp will have a problem pronouncing his name.
And
Yeah.
what's his name?
Eleftherios.
What?
Yeah, that's the full name.
Sounds like some Greek.
Greek god. Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yeah,
the
it
god
is.
of love. Eleftherios. No, it means freedom. It comes from the word freedom, which is eleftheria. So it's like the male version of the word freedom.
Is he really Greek?
Yeah, I'm half Greek, half Zambian. So yeah, my parents were like, let's think of the most difficult combination.
Right.
You know, for Zambians, Mukuka is easy.
Yeah.
But take that out, it's like Mukaka, Mukwakwa.
Right.
I'm like, what's wrong with you people? It's not that difficult, you know. Yeah. So an interesting, like, super cultural name.
So
I would love to hear. You know how girls love to yell out a guy's name during sex. I'd love to hear a Zambian girl.
yell this one out.
Oh man.
Oh man,
You're an idiot.
Instant
So it's
boner
official.
killer. Like you know what? I'm putting my pants back on. This sex is over.
Anyway, so he's half black, half white, half Zambian, half Greek.
Yeah.
What other half do you have in you?
You know, those
other
halves
halves? Yeah.
have inspired all the other halves. You know, like my sound. What is the El Mukuka sound? The El Mukuka sound is a fusion of African elements and European elements, you know, in the realm of like dance music. So inspired by my cultural background. Everything comes back to my cultural background, which defines me in every sense.
What's your cultural background?
Which is Afro-European, you know, Zambian Greek. And that has sort of formed who I am today. The way I think, the way I create music, the way I have certain like orientations in terms of what I like to eat,
Right.
what I like to listen to, what I like to watch, it's like culture is deep rooted.
Dude, you're growing up in a home. I know your parents divorced at some point,
Yeah.
right? But either way, there's still a lot of influence from both sides of the family, each one trying to impose their culture on you. What was it like growing up in such a setup? There's Greek influence on this side, there's Zambian influence, and Zambian Bemba influence on the other side,
So I was mostly raised by my single Greek mom, but in Zambia. So that was the interesting combination. In the house, you know, it's full of like Greek culture, but as soon as you step outside of the house, like we're in Zambia. So it's like Greek culture, you know, concentrated in the household, but within the Zambian context.
Right.
And it felt like I grew up in two different countries at the same time. You know, I learned Greek in Zambia, you know, like that is crazy. I'm not the only one, but it's just crazy to think about the fact that someone can learn such a difficult, such a, historical and rich language in a country like Zambia, where obviously only a few hundred people speak it.
Did you have a lot of Greek influence, like your family from your mom's side in Zambia, or was it just your mom?
So just my mom. All my mom's family is in Greece. And so, you know, we would see them every couple of years as often as we could afford to see them. You know, you got to think about the fact that she was a single mom with 3 kids. So traveling, that's like 4 tickets. Every time you want to meet granddad, grandma, you know, whoever, like my aunt, uncles, like you had to like make this massive investment to fly all the way to Greece. It wasn't as simple as just going to another city or a neighboring country. So every few years we would go to Greece growing up and connect with them. But that's actually a big issue. Like I have 2 sisters and I've told them that when we have our own families, we need to do a better job in terms of either living closer to each other or just making a shit ton of money to be able to fly around
whenever
and
you want.
see each other. Because, you know, when cousins don't grow up side by side, man, it's such a lost opportunity. They're literally brothers and sisters, you know? Cousins are literally brothers and sisters.
And the way I see Greeks and Italians, you guys are very tight-knit families, especially Greeks and Italians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you get that
So
job, dude?
you guys don't have that?
Where?
Considering how spread out you are.
Yeah. I mean, you know, people even make fun of Greeks and Italians, especially the men. They're like, they live with their moms until the age of 40. You know, you could be dating this guy, you could even marry the guy and you move in to his house and
Italians
his mom is living.
Jeez,
I think with Italians, what switches is your mom raises you, takes care of you, and then when you start have money, you start taking care of her. Same house until she dies.
I've seen that with Italians, man. The relationship those guys have with their moms.
Yeah, no, Italian men,
Jesus. I think Burna Boy was Italian in his past life.
But you know, it's not too different from the African like setup. I mean, some differences here and there, but even in Africa, it's like culturally, we know that we need to look after our parents because traditionally we didn't have like a pension scheme or a government that would be reliable enough to leave our parents, well-being, like depend on them to look after our parents after a certain age. So everything kind of fell back to the kids. The more kids you had, the higher the chance of having a secure, retired life was, obviously there are ups and downs to that model. I was recently in Uganda. I had a show last weekend in Uganda and Kenya.
The asses in Uganda, bruh.
That's what you saw.
Yeah, hashtag no comment. But I will tell you, perhaps because of that same reason, the average Ugandan, let's say woman, family, couple, whatever you want to call it, has 6 or 7 kids, bro. Those guys are like rabbits.
You know why? Because the asses in Uganda, bruh.
They are reproducing. It's one of the fastest growing populations on the continent. They're crazy predictions as to how big the Ugandan population is going to grow. Like it's exponential, man. 6, 7 kids per person. Man, it's wild. And the average age, the median age is like 17, 18. Now I'm just trying to like recall some conversations I had. This should be double checked, but it's extremely young. And they're reproducing fast. So, in that setup, it's difficult.
When are we doing an episode in Uganda, bro?
You say what?
When are we doing an episode in Uganda?
I heard Museveni is in hospital.
Oh,
really? Museveni.
I was about to say something very silly, but I'll...
No, say it. Go ahead.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's COVID related. You heard about that, right?
He's got COVID.
Really? Now?
I said the same thing too.
I'm very sure that
the
Ugandans rubbing their hands right now.
And
biting their lower lip like...
I thought it was going another way.
I mean, hey,
it must have been the gays.
Karma.
You said we're spending our lives in where? In jail. Okay.
Drop something in his drink. They have a guy on the inside.
because this is barely 2 weeks after he passed that controversial bill, right?
Yep.
Ish.
Man, crazy.
Dude, you wanted to be a rapper. You're a DJ now, but you wanted to be a rapper growing up. What made you think you could rap?
Man, growing up in a place like Zambia, especially when I was growing up, like the 90s, early 2000s, there was very limited access to electronic music. Everything was like hip hop.
Yeah.
So naturally, the sounds that reached my ears first were the hip hop sounds. And when I was 12, I was convinced that this was what I wanted, heavily inspired by that Dr. Dre kind of network. So Eminem mostly, but then 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg. I mean, of course, Tupac, B.I.G. as well, but I was more into these guys and even a bit of like the underground, Eric Sermon, Redman, Method Man, Too Short.
Eric Sermon. What happened to that dude?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's still around, but, these were my role models.
Sermon is which one? React.
The guy with the
this year rocks,
with the
so y'all
contacts.
better react. That was Eric Sermon, right?
Perhaps I remember him for this album he did like
he had this this song with the woman that was rapping in Spanish, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever she said, and I'm that. That was Eric Sermon,
That's
right?
Eric Sermon, yeah.
And his clique, because Eric Sermon, Redman, Method Man, like Too Short. These guys were all
bro,
part
don't put math in that.
But they all kind
Math
of
is Wu-Tang,
worked together. Yeah, okay. Method Man was a little bit on the side, but
Redman,
definitely
yes.
Redman.
Yeah.
And his Gilla House crew.
Yeah.
And Ice Cube as well was another inspiration. So that was my environment. And obviously my mom was not thrilled. Yeah. She's like, damn. He's straying,
He's gonna
the black jeans are overpowering him.
He's gonna get shot.
Wait, hold on. So your mom moved to Zambia.
Yeah. So
and then she met a Zambian dude.
No. Well, she moved here, but they didn't meet here. So my parents were obviously still are highly intelligent people. They managed to secure scholarships to go to study in California. In fact, my dad is from Kasama, man, like straight from the village. Mm-hmm. And his intelligence and drive and dedication took him to the University of Zambia, where he did his first degree. And then back then in the Kaunda, I think it must have been political
something
science, the first degree.
Yeah.
The first, and then he did a master's here as well. And then he got a scholarship under Kaunda's government. By the way, they only gave one scholarship a year to his department, perhaps.
And he's the one that got it.
And he got it. He fought for it and got it. And then he went to Columbia, New York, did a second master's. And then he was like, damn, let me just keep adding to this CV. He went to UC Berkeley, California to do a PhD.
I mean, it was free, right?
It was, the deal though was the years you spend outside, you come back for the same amount of time and you teach at UNZA.
Right.
But he really took advantage of that because he was smart enough. And in California, my mom was also like doing her PhD in architecture. And similar background, comes from a small Greek island called Cephalonia.
The Kasama of Greece.
Perhaps.
Sort of.
And, small town, not even from the capital of the island. You know, from like a little town called Sami on the island, and made her way to the capital of Greece, Athens, did her first degree there, I guess both undergraduate masters and then PhD in California, where they fell in love. And then he invited her back here in 91. And my mom is obviously adventurous, and she's like, damn straight, let's go.
And she likes
I don't even know where Zambia
on the map is.
Let's do it.
Could be a fake country for all I know.
No, but I respect like her sense and her spirit for adventure, man. Like, I don't know if I would have done what she did.
So they came here in 91?
Came here in 91, had me in 92, separated in about 99, 2000. And it was around that time that I started to really get deep in the hip hop world and scene. I had a rap group at school. I would do rap battles at break time. I had my first radio interview at 16 on QFM. Back then, Mbachi Nkata had his show. Thrill, License to Thrill. And then quickly after that, Innocent Kalaluka gave me a TV interview where I rapped on Smooth Talk.
How pathetic was that rap?
He probably even has this footage. He said to my face as a 16-year-old, that was weird. And I was like, damn, that hurt.
How pathetic was this rap?
It wasn't pathetic, but it was weird. Like, I would talk about crazy topics, like topics that I was studying in school, like Nazi Germany, for example. I had this song called man, wow, I don't remember, but it was inspired by Hitler. Obviously not for Hitler. Weird. It was against Hitler. I was insulting him and making fun of so many aspects around the Third Reich, you know, things that I was learning in my history class. But it was obviously weird and very musical, too musical, like too many melodies and like really interesting chord changes. You could tell that this kid is evolving. This is not the final
Drake
spark.
ahead of your time.
Dude, sorry.
Maybe, I don't know.
Horrible guess we are. Would you like coffee?
Water, please.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You can order breakfast too if you like.
No, I had something earlier, man. I've been up
cool.
a few hours already.
Just call him? Would you like something, Kalinga?
No, I'm good. I had breakfast before getting here.
All right, cool.
Dude, so what you hoped or thought was going to be a rap career fails. What do you jump onto?
It didn't fail, but it led me to the next thing. It was part of the process. So, room temperature is fine. So it just led to the next thing, which was electronic music. So this transformation started to happen in 2018. There was a guy from Sweden, I think, called Bass Hunter, and he had a smash hit, Now You're Gone or something like that. And that was the first time I was like, this is interesting. It was kind of like Euro trance or whatever, very different from where I had come from, you know, very different from the hip hop background. And I had resisted house music. I was really against it. But that song kind of like made me start to think twice about this. 1 year later, a guy called Edward Maya dropped Stereo Love. You know, the da 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 with the accordion music video shot in Mykonos. And that was it for me. That was what converted me. It baptized me in the waters of house music because it showed me that you can mix a folk, let's say melody, so folk music with like modern electronic music sounds, which is exactly what he did. I don't think he even composed that theme. I think he borrowed it from a traditional Balkan melody from Azerbaijan or Romania or I don't know, you know, somewhere in that region. And then he kind of took it, interpreted it into his own way, his own style. and it became a smash hit, like the biggest Romanian house music track. And that was at the time when Romanian house music was blowing up. You had people like Alexandra Stan, you had Fly Project. I mean, some of these names are probably not even familiar, and you're probably like, how did you even discover these people? But I was obsessed with Romanian house, and that was my introduction. So my first tracks were inspired by Romanian house, and then I kept evolving and discovering myself and getting closer to like my truth.
Dude, you've mentioned what's the guy who makes that folk song from his village or whatever country, and he mixed it with European house music. And the blend is sort of what inspired you to get into house music as well. I'm assuming, being half Zambian, half Greek, you're also proud of your Zambian heritage, your Bemba, Kasama heritage.
I'm an African man. If if there are ladies watching this, rest assured.
The African bits that are necessary.
Or I can be both African and I'm like a chameleon. You know, I blend into the surroundings. But go on, yeah.
But we hope the right parts are African, though.
Why do you hope this?
For the ladies. Dude, I asked this because I'm trying to understand why you've never quite had like traditional music from Kasama blended with house music. And I'm talking a typical Kalindula song.
Yeah.
Like the way DJ LBC used to do.
Yeah.
You'd pick out very deep Kalindula songs and, put a house beat to them.
Yeah.
You don't do that, though.
Well, I do it in my way.
I've never heard any.
So actually all my songs have Kalindula guitar, at least 90%. I'm about to drop my album on Friday, called Zebra. And that's the whole concept behind that. The black meeting the white meeting the black, not even knowing, is it black on white or white on black? Some songs are a bit more like sort of leaning towards the African side, a bit more towards the European side, but that fusion element is constantly present, and I work with guitarists who are incredible, like David Andish or Sir Jones. These are the two guitarists on all the album, and they play these Kalindula lines over my tracks. So I'm not going to do it in a super tribal way because I'm also European and my music is fusion. And sometimes it goes under the radar. I did a TED talk in 2017, a TEDx here, and I broke down one of my tracks, Something's Coming. That's the name of the song. And people were shocked. They're like, damn, all of that was in there. They couldn't break it down, themselves with the ear. It kind of just comes together. It blends. It's like color. You mix a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, and you get, what is that?
Yellow?
Yeah, yellow.
Yeah.
Orange. I don't know. I do music.
Something of the sort.
But similar thing, you blend these sounds and you kind of get something new. But that's my, that's what I do, man. I fuse Kalindula sounds in my tracks constantly for years, since my very first releases, 2013, 2014.
Oh, that's yes.
I don't know, maybe I'll be looking for something that's very obvious.
Yeah, you were looking for something that's super obvious.
Song and put it on a Euro dance beat kind of thing.
And that is still a good idea.
Yeah.
And something that I would like to do, In fact, one of my dreams is to go into the village with like Sebastian Dutch, Creative Natives, take some like handheld recorders, some simple equipment, and record like, local musicians playing local traditional instruments, singing traditional songs, and sample that into our music and create like an EP. And I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. This is going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years for sure.
Is this your debut album?
This is my debut album, Zebra. Yeah.
Okay. Made any other tracks apart from what's on this album? Of
course. It's just 12 songs that represent the Zebra vision. But I've been producing house music songs professionally since 2013 and unprofessionally since 2009.
When you go to play a set, doesn't matter what it is, how much of your own music do you push, and how much of music that's inspired by that culture?
Yeah, this is a very good question. It really depends on the gig, on the location. When I play shows in Lusaka is like my headquarters. This is where I have my largest fan base. This is where my career began. This is where I have some deep-rooted fans as well, people who have seen me grow, people who met me or saw me on TV or heard me on radio in 2013 and have kind of just stuck around. And God bless those people for sticking around. If I'm playing to that crowd, I could even do like a 50-50, 60-40 in my favor kind of set where most of the tracks are mine because I know that they'll know them, they'll resonate with them, and I'll keep them engaged and captivated. I recently played a show in Kenya. It was last weekend. So it was Uganda and Kenya. And there I think I played about 30% of my tracks in the set, so 30% El Mukuka tracks, 70% other tracks that I used to just keep the crowd engaged. You've got to keep them locked, because when you keep them locked, then you can feed them whatever you want that they don't know at the right moment. So if I build up this kind of super intense engagement and then I drop a brand new track, they are extremely open.
I think those are the times you will start seeing people shazamming now.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It's like a sponge. You get the sponge nice and wet and like ready to like absorb, not susceptible to whatever I'm gonna give them. So it's a constant like strategy and a game you play with the crowd. And it depends. There are also some crowds that don't want to hear what they already know. Yeah. They're so open. They're so in love with music and discovering new music that you will push over half of the set into like your own direction in terms of your tracks. Back in the day, going to see a DJ was a lot more of an experience than it is today in terms of like the music. I would go see a DJ play vinyls because I know that he's the only guy that has that vinyl. Right. I can't get it. I can't Shazam it. I find it on Spotify. Yeah. If I want to hear that track, I need to wait till Friday or Saturday and go hear that DJ play that track. Now we've become so spoiled, man. We go to gigs and we want to hear what we already have in our playlists. I mean, that's bullshit, actually. That's like brain dead kind of like fans or brain dead music experiences where you're not learning anything new. Your mind is not being, opened, pushed. The envelope is not being, pushed. And this is something that really bothers me. And it's something that I'm conscious about when I play shows. Obviously, I need to maintain the engagement. I need to deal with how society operates and our culture, but at the same time, push new music onto them. And they usually appreciate it. Like in Nairobi, I had such an amazing experience.
I can imagine. Dude, you did mention, crap, I've lost my line of thought, but then there's something in line with DJs and music production.
Yeah.
And especially on an international platform, do you feel like every DJ now needs to also be a producer in order to break, borders and things like that?
Yeah, I do. I think that's the way the industry has evolved, and I kind of like it because I'm a producer and I actually come from a production background.
Right.
I used to produce my hip hop beats and my own like rap songs. And then I started producing electronic music, and I was kind of forced into DJing because they told me that this is the only way to perform as a house music producer. So I had to learn how to DJ around 2014, I think, but it came much later, in the process. And I'm also a bit of a music snob. In general, I'm not a snob. I'm a very down to earth guy. But when it comes to music, man, because I've studied it, it's the only thing I know in this life of mine. I went to music school. I went to the Berklee College of Music.
But you dropped out.
I dropped out because I couldn't afford to finish. So God wanted that for me. It wasn't a choice. I always imagined myself graduating with my friends. Yeah. I saw it happening. It didn't happen in the end, but this is the way it was meant to be. Maybe one day Berkeley's going to give me an honorary degree, which is actually very likely.
Wait,
they owe me.
your dad went to Berkeley as well?
No, they went to UC Berkeley, California. I went to the Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Right.
And in the States, you have these two like main music schools that represent the two sides of the industry. So Berkeley is the very open-minded, non-traditional side. And then Juilliard is the super traditional, classical oriented music school. So, and I was studying composition and production, I have a tattoo of Mozart on my wrist of his clarinet concerto in A. That's my favorite piece of music. And so I love music. I'm obsessed with music, all kinds of music. And so when I bump into a DJ who's just doing it to get girls or doing it to look cool because he saw a David Guetta video and he wants to be like him, I find it so superficial, and I can't even hide my disgust, you know.
But that's a lot of them, actually.
The majority, you know, and DJs are popping up like mushrooms, you know, and it's not bad. It's fine.
Like there's more herpes popping up.
Oh man. But it's like, you know, I really resonate more with people who are truly in love with music and do this because they love the music. Obviously, everything else is fun and you have to learn to deal with it and embrace it. But, it starts with the music.
Dude, so who pays for all your travel? Is it the promoter that books you? Because I've noticed you're in Europe, you're in Spain, you're in Kenya, you're in Uganda.
I might as well grow some wings. I mean, it's like I'm flying so much.
Fly way more than the Air Force.
The last year and a half, I'm not in one place for more than 3 weeks. I mean, I landed from East Africa on Tuesday and I'm just back for a week. On Wednesday, I fly out to Tanzania for a few days.
Wow.
And then I come back for another week and then I go to Spain and then a few different countries in Europe. So yeah, it's the promoter. Or if I'm doing a tour, there is like a budget behind the tour and cost sharing behind the tour. So let's say, you two book me for shows in the same country. I would split my expenses across your budgets so that it's fair.
Right.
So yeah, cost sharing is a very common strategy and it makes a lot of sense as opposed to you covering all my travel expenses and then you benefiting off of the fact that I'm in that city. You kind of just work together and you split the costs.
So what I'm trying to figure out now is when it gets to a point now in your career where promoters are calling you to book you, I'm trying to figure out what it was, what it was initially where the first time that you played in Spain.
Yeah.
In order for them to call you the second time?
Yeah.
Was it that you used your own funds to go to Spain and then based off how popular, your gig was, did they say, you know what, let's bring back the light-skinned Zambian again?
So Spain is an interesting story. A lot of people ask me, why Spain? You're not Spanish. You didn't speak Spanish. Now I speak a little bit of Spanish and it's constantly getting better.
Habla español.
And, yeah, so Spain, I always knew that my career would lead me to Europe. You know, when I dropped out of Berkeley and I came back to Zambia, the strategy was to build myself, build a career, build confidence, build a skill set, and then export that brand, build a brand, export that brand. And now I am exporting that brand. So throughout my career, I've always been working with European labels, but I've never been ready to actually base myself in Europe. I attempted this in 2016 and I failed. Well, I don't believe in failure. I learned. I went to Germany and I stayed there for about 8 months and it didn't work out.
Why not?
So I went there because I was in love with a German girl at the time and I saw
White girl?
It had to be a girl.
I mean, yeah, most German girls, are white, but,
And they've got black shapes, though. He would.
But Germany is the third largest music industry in the world. It kind of alternates between the third and fourth position.
What part of Germany were you?
So I was in Frankfurt, not the most conducive location
That's
for
where
a
you were, right?
musician.
No, Düsseldorf.
Oh, okay.
Düsseldorf, Cologne, Berlin, they're more of hotspots for musicians.
Yeah.
But look, I took what was available and I figured
what
I'm
was
in
available,
Germany.
you mean the girl?
Yeah, so for her, we couldn't.
It's making it sound like it's low-hanging fruit, you know what I mean?
Right, she's the first one that doesn't
true.
have bad to me.
She couldn't move to Berlin. So I'm like, all right, look, I'm not that far from Berlin. I'm a lot closer than Lusaka is. So let's do it. But I wasn't ready. I was still using my full name in 2016, Eleftherios Mukuka. Imagine me promoting myself on radio or TV or social media as Eleftherios Mukuka. It's impossible to even spell or pronounce for most people.
Yeah.
It just wasn't working out. I wasn't ready. The fruit was not ripe. And so I came back to Zambia and I shortened my name that same year to El Mukuka. The first release was Bottle of Loneliness, actually, which did wonders for me. Although it's not a fusion track, it is completely like my European side speaking in that song. It opened a lot of doors and it allowed me
Zambia?
in Zambia and
Bruh.
internationally.
Really?
Yeah. It allowed me to go full time in music. It was like a little renaissance. It was like a rebranding
Yeah.
of who I
Reinvention.
Reinvention, so to
sorts,
speak. And And ever since then, I've been building and building and building. And only last year did I feel like, all right, now it's time to go back. And this time we're ready.
You know, my assumption was
Back to where? Germany?
Back to Europe. This time Spain.
and this time hard.
And did you date any Spanish girl?
No, I went there solo. You know,
There was no female influence.
there
this
was
time
no
around.
female influence. In fact, there was a female influence driving me to another European country because at the time I was in love
This
with
guy.
another girl
Where from?
from Italy. And you know,
White again.
well, yeah, I mean,
Have you dated any black girls?
yes, dated.
You had.
I've
you
dated,
thought about this.
No,
What was she Zambian?
no, I've dated black girls for sure.
was she
Zambian, and even like non-Zambian black chicks. But I haven't been in a long relationship. I've only been in 2 long relationships, so it's not like I had that many opportunities.
And
But
flings? There are more flings than relationships?
I cannot confirm nor deny that
We're a family
question,
here, bro.
young man.
We're a family here.
Yeah, of course. I'm a DJ, man. Like, and when you're a single DJ, there's certain perks that come with the
He's
job.
told me of story. Can you calm down?
I'm trying to change the topic here.
Me too.
Did you see this guy saying no? Don't.
This is
I'm
bad
begging
for my
you,
rep.
please don't. You should have seen the fear in his eyes.
No, some people think I don't find black chicks beautiful, man. They're extremely beautiful. They have bodies that cannot be matched by anyone else. You know? Maybe South America comes close. I believe almost all women are beautiful. There's something beautiful about every
This
kind
guy's
of
being
woman.
political now.
No,
but it's true.
Let me ask you this way.
He said almost all women, and I like that.
That's what
I
I'm saying.
haven't met all the types of women. That's why.
So all the ones you met are hot.
No, but I have met beautiful women from almost all parts of the world. Almost. Because I haven't been to every
With your
part.
global experience with
Yeah.
women, who are the best women to you?
I know what he's gonna say.
I'm gonna
It's a political
say
answer.
I'm gonna say
Who are the best women to date?
to date, like long term, I wouldn't know. But in terms of beauty and what I find myself attracted to the most, and even like cultural connectivity and stuff, basically African, European, and Latina.
Which country in Africa?
So like South American, African, and European, because that's also kind of like what I am made of, you know, similar, close to home.
Where in Africa do you find the best women, in your opinion?
So, I mean, you talked about Ugandan women, and yeah, they have incredible bodies. That is undeniable.
Unmatched, bruh.
It really is undeniable. I've been to maybe 10, 11 African countries, and yeah, there's something. When God was making Ugandan women, I think he put a little bit too much of one of the ingredients.
Either that or they kept going round on the what do you call that thing?
On the assembly line.
On the assembly line, yeah.
Bruh, I was at the airport in Uganda, and I was like, if the airport looks like this,
The intro.
But look, South African women are beautiful too. Zambian women are beautiful.
Swana. Swana.
And Ethiopian women too, you know, like
Ethiopian,
I went to
yeah.
Addis for the first time a few months ago, and yeah, I was impressed. And sometimes they hide their really beautiful women, you know. I had to. It was by accident that I kind of saw the hidden gems in Addis.
by accident.
I ended up in a very local setting, and I was like,
like,
"Damn, this is where you guys keep them." You know, obviously they were stunning. So they're beautiful women from even in Europe, you know, you've got beautiful Scandinavian women, blonde, blue eyes. And then you've also got beautiful Mediterranean women, olive skinned, dark hair, brown eyes. And then you've got, you know, Latina women who have like
those
amazing
Those will
shapes,
stab
man.
you
It's
in
like-
5 seconds, bro. And the
So-
craziest women, speaking of stabbing,
The craziest women, probably like Black American chicks, which are different from African chicks. You know,
Yeah.
Black Americans and Africans are, you know, we
They-
come from the same source, but
I hear
we
Nigerians
have
are the
changed.
most.
I wouldn't know. But you know, thinking about Nigerian men and kind of thinking about the reputation they have.
Because I met a Nigerian
Perhaps.
guy who says I can't date a Nigerian girl because those girls are crazy.
Yeah, it's
Those
possible.
girls can stab you. They'll
Word?
abuse you. Yeah.
like
I
they'll
hear-
stab
I
you
hear
over
that-
breakfast.
I hear they're crazy like that, yeah. But anyway.
With a spoon, with a cereal spoon.
Like why
Boom, the
are
Kellogg's
you
plastic
upset
spoon.
over bacon, bro?
Dude, taking you back to Berkeley.
Yeah.
It's college university.
The Berkeley College of Music. It's a university.
It's a university,
but
but okay. You drop out, and I know from stories you've told before that after you dropped out, you start making hit songs. You're called all over the world to DJ and things like that. You're producing hit songs, which people who remained and graduated at Berkeley College couldn't do. You know what I mean? Does this ever give you the thought that maybe universities should start having people from the real world with real experiences come to lecture as well sometimes, maybe?
Absolutely. A lot of the teachers, the professors there are highly experienced in the industry. Grammy Award winners, Grammy nominees. Obviously they must have some paperwork to back them up in the academic world, but there's so much you can learn. There's a lot more perhaps you can learn from someone who's wise, who's lived, who has gone through ups and downs, who has seen both sides of the industry.
Maybe my point is, what do you think lacks in maybe music school if a lot of guys that you left in school came to you for advice, even though you had dropped out in the first year? And
it's so funny that happened. I was sitting in Zambia, like just getting on with my life, and friends were calling me from Boston for like tips. It's like, bro, how do you do this? Or like, I have a question about my contract with my label, or I don't know how to like build my brand or, get my music on Spotify, simple questions like that. I think it comes down to the fact that like the academic, like the education system is flawed.
Right.
It is. It doesn't sometimes teach us what we really need to know. For example, financial literacy is very poor because money is kind of like what runs the world. So if we teach everyone how to become rich, if we teach everyone how to manage money, then we've let the cat out of the bag. We've revealed the secret. And now we can't profit off of their ignorance. A lot of people, even in my circle, still aim to have a good job, retire at the age of 60, build a house by then, and just like chill. Bro, that's depressing for me. That's depressing, because they're probably going to work a job until 60 that they hate just to build that house that they're living in. It's not even like an asset, technically. I mean, it's not like a money generating asset, at least. And they go through such a long period of unhappiness. Who knows if they're even going to reach 60? Maybe one of their drunk driving adventures is going to prevent them from, living that far. Because again, it comes down to the fact that they're not happy. There's just a lack of happiness and true fulfillment, true like sense of fulfillment. So yeah, it's a tricky question. I think what's very important is for people to get real and experience the industry in real life. When I was at Berkeley, back then it was only about 4,000 students. It was like the Navy SEALs of modern music. The elite. I mean, some incredibly talented musicians. I lost almost all my self-confidence, just so you know, when I went there. I was like, I turned into the size of a cockroach because there was so much more talent. Such more developed, refined talent, people who had been enrolled in like European conservatories from the age of 4 or 5. I started studying classical piano at the age of like 14. Didn't even have a piano in my house back then. My grandmother helped me get a keyboard that I would practice on. After that, it's a miracle that I even ended up at Berkeley. I mean, like, I don't know what happened. But obviously it made me the musician I am. It set me on a certain like path, trajectory. It opened my eyes. Growing up in Zambia, especially when I did, man, like just not enough exposure. Not enough exposure.
I'm trying to imagine, what are the fees like at a college like Boston?
Man, like if you have no financial aid, and I did have financial aid from outside of the school.
Yeah.
It just wasn't cutting it. Back then you're talking about like $30,000 a semester.
Jesus.
So it's about 60 grand a year. And the average length of a degree is what, 4 years?
Yeah.
About $240,000 just poof, in music. It's highly risky,
Yeah.
And then afterwards you come out with no hit, no luck, whatever you want to call it.
And not only that, but then people's taste in music is very finicky.
For sure, it's extremely subjective.
It's right.
Subjective.
And also, which actually brings me to my next point, which is how much of what you do you feel could be under threat by AI? I mean, we were talking about how AI has generated stuff that's not real. I mean, I'm sure you've heard an AI generated Drake song or The Weeknd.
Yeah.
And you essentially just have to make a deep Zambian house track, and it generates stuff like that.
Just take you one step back to what I was trying to finish about Berkeley is we had like these very popular kids in that 4,000 student community that never really managed to maintain that popularity in the real world.
Yeah.
So just to wrap that conversation up, there's a big difference between the school environment, the school community that is so safe and small and whatever, and the real world. A lot of those popular kids were just squashed by the industry. And their self-confidence, that balloon that they had inflated, just, popped.
Quite all right. You were at Berkeley, you left, you had the hit songs. People who you left there started asking you for tips and things like that. But still, I'm sure in that 1 year, how much did you learn in that 1 year that is applicable?
I was there for 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
I learned a lot. 2 years is a long time, especially when you're doing something like music where you have to practice your instrument at least 2 hours a day if you want to even just keep up with the syllabus. Some intense classes from conducting to classical composition, jazz theory, electronic production, synthesis, the theory and the practical aspect of synthesis, a bit of liberal arts. I did like statistics and a few other things that you have to do in order to get a bachelor's degree. What else? Obviously my instrument, the piano. So there was a lot going on. Right. And to jump back to the AI point, I think, AI is definitely something I'm concerned about. And I know that certain record labels have even signed AI artists that they have just created.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timbaland.
He has signed an AI artist. Serious.
But there is something that God gave us that we cannot give AI.
Can't be duplicated.
Which is the soul.
Yeah.
You can never duplicate a soul. You can never invent a soul, so you can give a robot certain instructions and very complex algorithms, but you can never give them a soul.
Because it's going to use past data to create something.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even we do, technically speaking.
I was about to say the same thing.
We recycle what we have perceived.
Just adding to your point, the soul.
Yeah.
A lot of songs have a feeling behind them, which is then, translated onto listeners. So a machine can't duplicate that. What I mean?
But then again, a machine can only duplicate what it is taught. Because everything that is producing it has been taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are able to sit and create something, you're able to implant that into the machine and possibly ask it to make it better.
Yeah.
I mean, the argument I have is that music is it's a mystical form. It's magic. We are magicians. The people that deal in the arts, not just music, anything to do with art is magic.
True.
Back in the day, they might have called us like wizards and witches, because
if you're in Salem, you're going to be burnt at the stake.
It'd be lit, man. So, what we deal with is non-tangible. How inspiration enters our body and then goes into our instrument or our computer and stuff. That's a very mystical process that no one will ever understand. And it happens. It's real. Not for every song. Some songs are more calculated, let's say. Other songs are pure divine intervention.
Yeah.
Pure divine intervention. Something came into you.
That's the point I was trying to raise. Yeah. You can't duplicate that with a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, an argument could be made that because you mentioned how a lot of this is God-given, and some of the best musicians in the world did attend college for this. It's something that they have in them.
Yeah.
So if you have to spend $240,000 to be taught how to either be a good musician or learn music, how much of that is already in you, and how much can actually be taught for you to become a good artist?
Absolutely. Obviously some of these big schools, including the Ivy League schools. I mean, you're talking about like Yale and the sorts, MIT, Harvard, they're all in Boston. So I used to spend a lot of time on the MIT campus, the Harvard campus. MIT was right across the bridge from us. Oh, right. It was very inspiring. I was like, damn, I'm surrounded by geniuses. But these are like brands. It's like wearing Louis Vuitton. Yeah, it'll last. It's a nice brand, has a lot of respect, but if you're desperate to stay warm, you don't have to wear Louis Vuitton. Now, obviously, we're not talking about desperation here, but the idea is that you can still learn what you need to learn in a much more humble setting. Many times people invest in sending their kids to these schools just so that they can connect with the people that are at these schools.
Right.
You know, in Madrid, for example, there's a fancy school called IE. It's mostly a business school, but they do some other, things there as well. And some of the most, elite European families and North African families send their kids to that school. Not so much because it's a hardcore school. Not that I know because I haven't studied there, but from what I've heard from people, it's a highly, exclusive networking environment. You have the chance to meet the children of current prime ministers, former prime ministers, the children of royalty, the children of highly successful businessmen, millionaires, billionaires. Now, as a parent who has established themselves, you kind of want the best for your kids, of course, and you want to empower them. And so, you know, your network is your net worth. That is completely true. And that is the incentive behind sending these kids to these schools. And then the schools obviously realize the power they have. And they're like, oh, we're just going to add a 0 to the school fees this year. You know, it's not going to make much of a difference for you millionaires and billionaires. But of course, it is hindering. It makes education exclusive. Mm-hmm. And one of my lifetime goals is to build a music school here in Zambia. And not just any kind of music school. Nothing like we have ever seen before. Perhaps nothing like we've seen before on the continent. I'm talking about the real special forces of music. Completely elite, with highly trained, music teachers and a diverse, let's say, array of disciplines in the music, industry. So it's not just, instrumental proficiency. It's theory. It's business. And we have support systems. So we will be very picky about who we select. Obviously, we'll have a scholarship system involved in the school, embedded for those kids that are talented but cannot afford, which happens a lot more often than we think. Many times the kids that can afford these schools are perhaps not the most talented kids.
Yeah, true.
And train and refine and create Zambian superstars, future Zambian Grammy Award winners, from instrumentalists to songwriters to composers to producers to artists. That is my vision, because I saw how much that lacked in my development process as a musician in Zambia, and I see how it's still lacking, and I want to be part of that change. I can't do it alone, but I will be part of this change. So when I'm gone, I leave this behind for the next generations.
That's great stuff, man. Elson, I think one thing you may not know about him is that he was actually signed with Sony.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, but why did they let you go, though?
Actually, I mean...
Or is it you who left?
Technically, I'm still with Sony. Yeah, like I haven't left. It's just
right.
Sony has so many different divisions, right?
True.
So my journey with my first encounter with Sony was in 2018 with Sony South Africa. Mm-hmm. And that lasted about a year only. Ended prematurely, but I'm glad it did, because then Ultra Records was able to sign me. Ultra was sort of like half owned by Sony at the time. Mm-hmm. And about a year ago, Sony bought the entire Ultra Records. So Ultra Records is just a subdivision of Sony Music right now.
Sony, in a way.
Well, now I'm no longer with Ultra, but transitioning into another Sony label. So Sony obviously has been a part of my career for so long that my network within the label has expanded. You know, it's sort of reached multiple continents now, and I get the support from the system. So it only makes sense to stay within that system, especially because some of my discography is locked into the Sony system. So, naturally, you know, I'm kind of like hovering around the Sony,
spheres
universe, you know, and, so I'm still with Sony, to answer your question.
You've got a song with Abel.
Yeah, it's coming out in 7 days. Well, actually less. It's coming out on Friday.
Is that the only Zambian artist that you've worked with?
Of course not, man. So, you know, on my album, I released 10 fun facts a few days ago. One of the fun facts is that of the 16 featured artists on the album, 12 are African. And of those 12, a few are Zambian. So in terms of vocal collaborations on the album, I have Abel Chungu, I have Mumbayachi, I have James Sakala, and I have Morocco. In terms of instrumentalists on the album, I've got David Andish, Sir Jones, and Sam Nyambe from the Crazy Fish Band. In terms of songwriters on the album, I have obviously all the singers who also wrote the tracks, and another guy called Fernandez Moape. That's his name. He's living in the Copperbelt now. Incredible writer. He did most of the songs that I've done with Morocco. They're kind of like a team. And when they're together, they are so powerful. So there are several names on this album that are proudly Zambian. It's just, they're not the names. Yeah, because I don't know if our paths fully align.
Oh, he didn't want 30 grand from you?
I've never even reached out to him. I don't know if I've met Yo Maps before, but a lot of people, even on radio, say, man, why don't you work with Zambians? I mean, I just listed a whole bunch of Zambian names. It's just not the Zambians that they expect me to work with.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly why I just said that. Because a lot of people...
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, right.
Get the big names first so that maybe it boosts your image in Zambia as well. Yeah. Maybe that's the logic they're thinking with.
And perhaps I will. You know, I respect Yo Maps and what he did with the stadium. That took balls. That took balls.
It's got huge testicles, that boy.
For sure. And I respect how big of an icon he has become within Zambia. But it doesn't mean that just because he's hot, I need to run after him.
Right.
You know, it needs to make sense musically, because I am still like a bit of a music snob in that sense. Like music is first, music is king, you know, so I put the music first before anything else.
Names second.
Even the business opportunities that obviously make sense, I still try and justify them musically first, and then I pursue those opportunities, you know?
So what does it take to book you? How much is a gig?
You would have to get in touch with my booking agent, but I'll be happy to pass their contact information.
Yeah, give me the phone number. I want to ask them now. You see that you're going to tell me, I'm going to ask them.
No. I mean, this stuff happens, you know, like behind closed doors. But I will tell you that my fee has been growing healthily, and it continues to grow.
As the brand grows.
Brand grows.
100,000?
It depends what currency we're talking about.
Let's talk Kwacha while we're still in Zambia.
No, I mean, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you that I am probably one of the most expensive DJs in Zambia, because I understand my worth. I understand the brand that I've built. It took a long time. It took a lot of effort, and I'm still growing. Bro, I am scratching the surface.
Give us a figure.
I mean, I'd rather not, because it's more proper not to. But I will tell you that I'm definitely one of the most expensive DJs, and people do like complain, which is why a lot of my shows are my own. I have the confidence that I'll pull the crowd. You know, I don't need you to be okay with my fee. If you're not, then I'll partner with a venue. We'll advertise. The people will come. We'll sell the tickets that we need to sell, and I'll probably make more than I quoted you. So when you have that kind of confidence in your brand and your community, then...
And there's no arrogance, just confidence.
No, it's not, because in the beginning, man, it was rough. I was booed off stage, you know. I would play 3 house tracks. They'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Put the other DJ on, or we don't like this. What is this?
Give us some music too.
You know, and my music is far from white. It's a blend. If you come to my parties now, like I did a pre-album launch at Alliance Francaise a month ago, because the day my album comes out on Friday, I'm going to be chilling on a beach in Zanzibar, actually. So all the work was like done in advance. Obviously there'll be a digital campaign, but we did a pre-album launch, which is perhaps the most, ambitious thing I've done in my career in terms of live performances. We got the whole album, 12 tracks. And over the course of about 5-6 weeks, I arranged the album for a live band. So Crazy Fish Band with live vocals. Mumbayachi, James Sakala. Mumbayachi did all the tracks that were in Swahili, Lingala, and French. Some of his body was covered. The important parts.
The necessary bits.
The necessary bits, you know, without attracting the wrong kind of attention. And we had an amazing event, and there are videos on my social media. And if you go check out those videos, the crowd is predominantly Black Zambian. And this is a big big achievement because when I started out, Zambians were not open to electronic music. And over the course of 10 years, more and more and more have began to appreciate it and own it and support it. And I'm so grateful for these people. We are really revolutionizing and shape-shifting Zambian culture.
Bro, at Ultra, you were label mates with some of the biggest names in electronic music. Talk about Steve Aoki,
Yeah,
Kaigo, Black Coffee.
Coffee.
Did you ever get to meet these guys and work with them like in the studios at the same
I've
time?
met Black Coffee, I think, a few times. I opened for him in Zimbabwe a few years ago.
Right.
But since then, our paths haven't crossed. Not yet. They'll cross again soon. We're also operating in the same industry, the Afro House industry. Steve Aoki, I saw him in South Africa, but we never met because we never played Ultra the same year. No, wait. We did, but not the same stage.
Right.
So I was like chilling in not backstage. I was chilling in like the holding area for the artists, and watched his show, watched him cake people.
Yeah.
He is exceptionally accurate. Like he can throw a cake 20 meters into the crowd and hit the person that he intended to hit. He's crazy. That's Japanese efficiency. But yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, being signed to Ultra, one of the few African artists signed to Ultra, I think it was only me and Black Coffee at that time. And now neither one of us is with Ultra, actually.
I heard Black Coffee's wife used
Yeah.
to go around the house and tighten all the jars in the house.
Really?
You're evil and laughing at that.
That's not something funny, bro.
Why laughing?
No, man, that is
That's not
super
funny.
mean.
We are not laughing.
It only hit me now, man.
And very people are going to get that
Yeah,
joke.
let's not even explain it. It's mean. It's mean. But yeah, no, it was really cool. It was really cool. I mean, look, my whole life I've been a bit of a black sheep. I've never really fit in, if you think about it. In Zambia, I'm not black enough. Or
in Greece, you're
in
not
Greece,
white
I'm
enough.
not white enough.
Yeah.
You know, as a mixed race person, we deal with that kind of reality. And so it kind of forces us to grow thicker skin, build more confidence and create a lifestyle, a culture that is true to us and that works with us, you know? So even musically, you know, I've always been like just doing my own thing. People never understood me. In the beginning, they're like, yeah, this colored boy is lost.
Speaking of color,
He's lost.
I've just remembered the assumptions I used to make before I knew more about you, and that the L actually meant Eleftherios. I actually thought you were more South American because L there is
it's an article.
So I thought it was like, okay,
yeah.
the light part of him, the half.
Yeah, when
it
I
should be
play in
Spanish
Europe,
or
I
something.
take my shirt off and I go, El Mukuka!
So I thought it was more like the Mukuka, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. It's just coming straight from Eleftherios Mukuka, yeah.
Deep stuff, man.
Yeah.
Dude, what was your biggest takeaway from...
You have got 10 more minutes before you have to leave, right?
Yes.
All right.
We've spoken about, you know, your trajectory going that way, but I'm sure there's been a lot of failures in between somewhere.
Yeah.
What has been your greatest takeaway from your greatest failure?
Man, I don't believe in failure as failure. I believe in it as learning lessons.
Right.
I'm constantly learning lessons, man. Even the last year and a half in Europe, man, if I could tell you how much I've learned, the obstacles I've had to deal with, the challenges,
Like what?
the
Like
disappointment.
2-3 obstacles.
I'll tell you, in the last year and a half, the biggest lesson was you have no friends in the music industry.
Nope.
No
Serious?
friends, yeah. I was let
were you
down
backstabbed?
so badly. I don't want to call it backstabbing as such, but just massive disappointments.
Yeah.
You know, there were moments when I needed my friends. They were not there.
Tell us more about the backstabbing.
What, friends, like actual genuine friends or industry friends?
Well, I was naive. I thought that they were friends. You know, yes, they're in the industry and some of them were even non-competitive. So it would be a little bit unwise for me to depend on support from another DJ in the same field because obviously I'm competition. But it would be perhaps logical to depend on the support of a promoter in the industry who is also a friend. And yeah, a lot of people let me down and kind of just left me on my own. And there was also a bit of like cartel-like behavior, you know? little cliques that run the scene.
In the
And then
Zambian
they
music.
lock you. No. In like in Europe,
Right,
and they
okay.
lock you out of the scene deliberately. They try to like excommunicate you, like John Wick. And you know what John Wick did? That's what I did.
Came back guns blazing.
So yeah, it makes you harder, it makes you tougher. And I used to ask myself, like, why God?
Because you're black.
Why all these? I mean, it could be that I'm also authentically African. Most of my competition in Europe in the Afro house scene is pure white. White as snow.
What's the footballer guy that we had the last episode?
Rainford Calabar.
Do you know what Rainford did to the last white guy who disrespected him?
No, what did he do?
Slapped him.
Oh man,
Slapped the coach in France.
really?
Yeah.
Damn.
He slapped a coach in France. Who does that?
Wow. The thing is, I am half white, but I was born and raised in Africa. I'm half black. And funny enough, when I went to Europe, I discovered that, yeah, man, most of the guys there are completely European. Now it's great because it means African culture is blowing up. And we know it is.
Yeah, true.
Cinema, music, TV,
Yeah,
sports, man.
yes,
Everyone wants a piece of Africa. And even the women in Europe want a piece of Africa,
I mean, that's why they're blowing up their lips and their asses, yeah.
I mean, I was still in calling at this. I went to a Snoop Dogg concert in Melbourne. I've never felt
so wanted.
not only that, but prouder to be black.
Yeah.
Than now.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, that is at the Snoop Dogg concert.
Yeah.
There's been no better time to be black, to be African than right now.
You know, and this is a fun fact, and I said this the last time. There was a time when Burna Boy performed in Canada, and on the exact same day, in Canada as well, Drake, Lil Wayne, and Nicki Minaj also had a concert. More people were at the Burna Boy concert. And just
yeah, I
recently,
remember that, yeah.
Beyonce is on tour. Burna Boy sold out a venue that had way more people than Beyonce's.
Tells you a lot about the landscape right now.
I mean,
Yeah,
this guy
he's a
performed
giant.
at
He really is a
at
giant.
the finals of the soccer thing.
Yeah. And he's sold out in a country that he least expected to sell out as well. What was he last week? Spain or something like that? He's sold out the whole
I
stadium.
mean, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And
That was
he's
Spain,
really paving the way for...
yeah, should have been Spain.
And I heard Davido saying, I paved way for these new cats on the block. Like, Burna Boy.
some shade. Open his umbrella.
Speaking of, the successes we're talking about with African people, one thing I think has always eluded you, performing in Ibiza. How's that going? You've spoken about it a lot.
Yeah, so I had my debut a few weeks ago.
Oh, you finally did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Nice,
during
man.
opening week. So it was a very kind of like low-key show, but it was in one of the clubs. In fact, the oldest club on the island, the first club that they opened. And it was cool to finally, get my foot in the door. And play in this iconic place for electronic music. It's like the Mecca for electronic music.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting started. In general, in my career, I'm so grateful to be able to be invited to a show like this and talk about what I have experienced and learned. But I'm really just getting warmed up. I think the next 10 years are gonna be so exciting and groundbreaking, truly groundbreaking, because I feel like I'm ready. Sometimes it takes a while to get ready, and you don't know why delayed success is important or why God, puts you through certain situations.
Yeah.
But it's for a reason. And I think,
Because you weren't
he's
ready
been,
then.
he's been like shaping
Molding
me.
you.
And now I feel ready to kick ass.
The backstabbing you spoke about, this is only in Europe, or does this happen in Zambia as well?
Happens everywhere, even here, man. Like,
What's the
What
worst
has
of it?
VGZ done to you now?
no, VGZ is cool. In fact,
That's cool,
VGZ,
people. That's my brother.
VGZ remember, like, I met him when I was still like coming up.
Yeah.
So 2013, 2014, when I used to get booed off stage, he would book me. He would call me. He's like, bro, even though he knew that the people were not ready for my music, he had enough like love and understanding for me. It was before VGZ, the DJ. He was like a promoter.
All right.
He would still call me and book me every so often to play in his venue, so that's how we met. And then he decided to start DJing and became who he is today. So I have a lot of love and respect for him. But I've had other DJs in the scene here, who sometimes try and like, or just like promoters, they try and sabotage certain shows. Let's say I have a show booked in a venue. They'll try, and let's say it's a brand new venue. They'll try and go like behind me and book a show before me, just to kind of like kill the virginity and the exclusivity and the hype of my show there. Other times they would come to my parties and try and redirect the crowd to their parties, which are happening simultaneously.
Wow.
You know, and, I see these things, you know, and I live amongst these people, you know, that's the reality of being in a small town.
Yeah, it's because you're light skinned.
But, but you know, I'm very, in my work, I'm a beast. I'm not the easiest person to work with because I know exactly what I want and I go for it, you know, and I know perfection doesn't exist, but I shoot after it, you know, I aim for it and I try to do my very best every single time.
Did you know he's a DJ?
I didn't.
Oh, wow.
I need to hear you, man.
You know, funny thing about my DJing career and moving to Lusaka, people just know me for the podcast here in Lusaka.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I used to get a lot of bookings here in Lusaka, then on the copper board where I used to live.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've sort of just tried to focus on this now.
I only know
anyway.
4 DJs. So
In Zambia?
yeah.
Wow.
So I know you, I know Kalenga, I know VGZ,
Switcher.
and Switcher.
Wow.
Yeah. Who's in Dubai right now, by the way? Special out. Dude, speaking of light skin.
Yeah, with your maps, innit?
Yeah. Speaking of you being light skinned.
Yeah.
I've seen how girls react when you announce onto the stage. How busy is your DM right now?
You know,
Is it busier than Elson's? Because he's getting an average of about 10 messages a minute.
my DM is dry, bro.
I'll tell you something.
Today? It's only 9 a.m. So
Shut up.
Like I'm learning how to handle the growth. As I said, I am still just getting warmed up. But obviously there is growth happening and there is this evolution and I am still learning how to handle it in terms of like DMs, messages and stuff.
Right.
I've become a very bad texter and I've had people
I know
complain.
this.
Yeah.
You know the first time I texted you, right?
it was probably a few weeks ago.
Yep.
wow.
I mean, I responded after a few days.
After a few days, that's my point.
It's bad, man. Like I could show you my WhatsApp now and it's just like full of unread messages. My Instagram, my Facebook, I don't even check. I only check WhatsApp and Instagram these days because it's too much. But, you know, I mean, I don't know how guys, you know, bigger than me do it. And I hope to learn from them, but it can become overwhelming because it's a mix of personal messages and work messages. And of course, let's not even get into email.
You might ignore a deal by ignoring all those messages. That's the risk.
It's true. It's true. But usually the people that pay the price are your friends.
Yeah.
Or girls.
So that's what he's asking. Wait, so how do you handle it when girls are throwing themselves at you? Do you pick and choose and say, yeah, well, she's, I could hit that?
Look, it depends. I mean, I think attraction is just attraction, you know, we don't even have to define it, you know, but, obviously because I'm traveling a lot, I am constantly exposed to different people. Mm-hmm. I'm meeting new people almost on a weekly basis. Yes, it definitely, brings a lot of opportunity, but it also offers a lot of insight into what women are like, what modern women are like. And
dude, you're giving political answers.
I know, but you know, right now I'm kind of struggling.
Are you smashing?
Very PC.
I'm struggling.
Are you smashing?
I'm having fun.
So yes, you are.
Are you dating anyone right now?
No, I'm single. I'm single.
Nice. Ladies, should we repeat that a little bit?
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Now my Instagram.
No, it was gonna blow up regardless. You think chicks are not gonna blow up your IG because you're dating?
But I will tell you something that I'm struggling with. I tend to meet most of the women that I meet these days in my environment, like in the party scene.
Right.
And I feel like there's not a big diversity, you know, it tends to kind of be the same sort of woman that I meet.
Right. Because it's the same environment.
Yeah. And I miss interacting with women in other environments. I miss meeting a woman in a coffee shop. I miss meeting a woman at an airport. Okay. That I guess,
in a nice suit.
In
some corporate environment.
I miss meeting a woman sober. You know,
when you're sober or when she's sober.
I mean, I'm usually sober because I'm working. For me, the DJ booth is my office. So I'm actually super sober, which is why I'm so critical and observant because everyone around me is drunk,
right?
You know, or high or whatever they are. And it's hard for me to connect. And it's a big turnoff. Like if I have a girl, even a beautiful girl come at me and is like licking my face because she's so like
and she's
lit.
Staring at you like,
yeah. It's like, I want to eat you. It's not attractive. I don't find it attractive. I'm like, come on, man. Like, damn. Why do I keep like attracting these kind of women? I want to be someone sober.
That's your office.
You know,
Those
but, yeah.
are the people that
These, unfortunately, are the challenges, of operating in this kind of scene.
Office, yeah.
This kind of office, yeah.
Do you want to tell us how you met your wife?
Moving on. Yes, I met her in a club.
Man. In a club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they usually say such relationships don't work, but somehow I'm married for 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
7 years and 2 kids later. Here we are.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was in a club in pajamas, imagine that. And I think from a DJ's perspective, you see that from a DJ's booth, you're thinking, what the?
And a woman
going
that
on
looks
here?
good in pajamas in a club, I can understand why you married her. Like you.
Yeah. Because
Backstage, we need to talk.
it's one of those where, as a DJ, everybody's coming to you.
Yeah.
But she was seated near where I was DJing from. So I went up to her, I'm like, okay, but what's happening here? Why are you in pajamas? She says, I don't go out. And these guys forced me to club. And I thought to myself, a woman who doesn't go out? Give me your number.
Wait, dude, what's the craziest thing? Like, in terms of, you've just said, like, if you get a woman who comes and licks your face, what's like the craziest encounter you've had with either a fan or
Yeah, it was actually,
groupie?
it's constantly like women overstepping.
Yeah.
You know, forcing me to follow them back on social media and grabbing my hand, to like kissing me while I'm performing.
What?
Grabbing my ass. Yeah, it's sexual harassment technically.
What do you mean technically? That's all-
But you know, as a DJ and as a man, I can't just walk up to like police station and be like, yeah, I want to file a little report. You know.
She grabbed my
Someone
ass.
grab my ass. The most like offensive experience was here in Zambia years ago. I was playing at a show and this woman was obviously very drunk, came to the DJ booth and demanded for my attention, and I didn't give it to her. So she threw her beer at me. She wet me and the
Equipment.
turntables. Yeah.
Wow.
And I looked at the security guard next to me. He did nothing. And what do you do in that moment? It's already done. Yeah, of course you can kick her out, but they should not even be allowed to get that close. But at the same time, it's also part of the culture. You want the audience close. You want them, you know, to feel like it's intimate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was extremely inappropriate. Yeah, you don't do that.
Let me tell you something. This is where you keep, because I have this, female goons. Because I'm never gonna put my hands on a woman.
Yeah.
But I have crazy cousins
Yeah.
that are on speed dial.
It helps. And that's why sometimes, honestly, it helps to have a girlfriend behind the DJ booth, like just staring at these women, you know, and like
I wish
just,
you would.
yeah, marking her territory.
How do you feel about? I like that you brought up the issue of the intimacy when you're DJing. I've always had an issue with festivals and how you're on the stage, and then on the stage, your DJ table is put at the back of the stage, and then you're like 20 meters away from your audience.
Yeah.
I'm always uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My mind is always telling me like I'm not with these people. We're not vibing. I don't know if you've seen what are these Valentine's gigs in SA? The boiler room.
Yeah.
I like how they put the DJ's booth right in the middle of the
Yeah.
crowd. How do you feel about being away from people and DJing?
No, I mean, I love that, you know.
Seriously?
I just did a warehouse party on Saturday.
Right.
And that's what we did. The DJ booth is in the center.
I love it in the center.
And we attract everyone. This year we went even more industrial. So very limited lighting. Last year there was too much light. People were too well behaved. You know, this year they had fun. Because we limited the lighting. We had like a lamp.
Just on the
just
DJs.
one lamp on the
beautiful,
DJ
man.
booth, and everything around was dark. And the bars lit up, of course, the pathway and the toilets outside of the warehouse. But, you know, so I'm constantly like experimenting with ideas and trying to sort of educate the Zambian crowd.
Right.
On how to attend a house music event, how to behave at a house music event. You know, when I was planning the warehouse party, I got phone calls from shisha vendors who wanted to set up. I'm like, bro, where are they going to put the shisha? You know, I had other people wanting to like bring tables and like, it's a warehouse party. You know, what about warehouse do you clowns not understand? You know, it's a warehouse party.
Yeah.
Like no tables, no chairs. You stand and dance. And if you don't, you get out. So more people can get in. You know, like it's culture. We have to teach them this misinformed sense of going out to lounges in Zambia and just sitting on your table the whole night and just staring like this at the DJ, or occasionally dancing to an Amapiano track and then sitting back on your butt and like, come on. That's not correct.
This man's gotta go.
You know the other reason why I like the DJ right in the middle? Because I really feel like DJing is an art and people want to see how you're painting. You're drawing a picture for them with sound. You know what I mean? Like, look at the times when Black Coffee is in Paris or wherever. They usually put him right in the middle of the crowd, right? And you should see how people surround him and just seeing him performing his craft. Like, the echoes and...
That's the culture. And
I really
Zambia's
want that
getting
in
there.
I
Trust
really
me,
want that in
we
Zambia.
are, you know, in fact, you should come to my next show, and I'll show you how far we have come.
Oh, when is it?
So my next show is on the 1st of July. I don't want to announce it just yet, but on my social media and stuff, if anyone's interested, they will be able to check it.
Not that it makes any difference in Zambia whether they have a VIP ticket or not, but Elson and I would love some.
Your guests, 100%.
I don't get Zambian gigs and, VIP tickets or what? Then you go to the gig, you're all in the same.
Yeah, no, VIP, VVIP, house music, that's like hip hop and other stuff. House music, of course, in clubs, in premium clubs, you have your VIP sections and your bottles and everything. But house music is about equality. It's about unity. We're all equal.
We're all just peas.
We're all equal in every sense. Gender, age, race, sexual orientation, whether you drink alcohol or not, what you're wearing, whether you have Louis Vuitton on or not, or just like some basic clothes.
Whether they identify as transparent.
Your social background, your socioeconomic background, we are equal. And that's what makes house music so beautiful and so peaceful. And that's why also we don't have fights usually. No one's fighting. Yeah. We have security, but we rarely need the security.
It's because you don't invite us couple of people.
So, my gat bigger than your gat. My girl booty bigger than your girl booty. You know, my butthole bigger than... Now, come on. In the house music, we don't have this.
Butthole?
I mean, look, whatever rocks their boat. But, you know, we don't have that.
What kind of parties are you going to, bro?
Dude, I know you got to run. Just the last question. Yeah. And we're just giving you a platform here. I know you probably had something in mind that you really wanted to bring out when you come to the podcast. Yeah. What's the one thing? Yeah, we didn't ask you. What's the one question you wish we asked you?
Ask yourself that question
and answer it.
And then answer it.
Okay. I feel like we touched on some of the topics that I really wanted us to talk about, specifically music education.
Yeah.
Which is where it all begins. It's like trying to be a lawyer and not going to law school. I mean, come on. Like, how do you even know what you're doing? But something we never talked about at all would probably be, again, maybe we touched on it a bit, but the importance of patience and perseverance.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we come from a country, but this is almost present in every country in the world where pursuing a career in the arts is really not promoted. You know, even my dad didn't want me to become a musician when I was younger, and then eventually kind of understood that this is truly my calling. And it's important to firstly identify what your passion field is, what your talent field is, and to work in that field and perfect your craft, but also to understand that it takes time. You know, some people want instant success. Today I had a radio interview in the morning with Abel, and there was this intern at the station from one of the schools here, 15-year-old, and she portrayed this sense of over self-confidence, over self-esteem. Now, it's very important. That's what keeps you alive in this industry. But I don't think she understood the many steps you have to go through. You know, she came to radio stations like, I don't know who you guys are.
She probably didn't.
I'm like, okay, you're 15. I understand. My target audience is usually mid-20s to mid-40s.
Yeah. Like, your mama is my target audience.
Your mama know me.
Ask your mama who I am.
Your mama probably knows me biblically.
But then she was like, you know, I'll be bigger than you guys. I'm like, okay. I mean, I wish for you to be bigger than us. You know, let's keep raising the bar.
She probably meant fat.
And then I asked, what do you do? Like, what's your field? It's like, everything. I'm like, we need to understand the importance of focus, the importance of dedication, of sacrifice, of perseverance, of persistence, of healthy obsession. I don't know if any obsession can be healthy, but being obsessed about a goal, about a dream, that's healthy. So, in my opinion, at least, because that's what keeps you going. You know, because life will throw you down. It'll throw you down so many times. The path to success is far from linear.
Oh, tell me
far
about it.
from linear.
Tell me about it.
And we have certain expectations. We want things to go a certain way. And God is like, no, I will take you this way. And if you don't somehow learn to deal with that, the fact that life is constantly changing,
For I know the plans
path
I
is
have for you.
changing, and you need to have faith and keep going, then yeah, you won't make it, you know, because it's rough out there.
Bro, who's the most famous person in your phone book?
Me.
Yeah, probably you guys. I don't know. Maybe one of the ministers, one of the current ministers. If you're talking about the Zambia setting,
No, just globally.
globally, it would probably be someone in the industry. I mean, I don't really rub shoulders with politicians.
Right.
So
Oh, which politician though? If we're talking about Zambia,
the minister that I have in my phone is the minister of tourism.
Oh,
Because obviously
all
I
of
work,
us, yeah.
I
All
work
of us.
hand in hand
Yeah.
with that, let's say, sector. I mean, I'm a Zambian product, if you think about it.
Right.
I'm an international Zambian product representing Zambia where I go. But in terms of musicians, or people in the music industry, would probably be a very high level music executive in a record label, probably one of the Sony guys, one of the presidents of one of the Sony labels. And if not that, probably just musicians. It could be Adekunle Gold if you're talking about Africa. But I also have Shimza's number, you know, Sanel musician. They're all my friends.
Right.
So it's a bit different. I don't see them as like, oh, this is the golden number, you know, dial this only when, you know, in emergencies. No, I mean, it's like they're friends of mine. They're colleagues of mine. And I see them as, musicians.
I really hope the Minister of Tourism could engage you a bit more because, I mean, you're traveling a whole lot more
Yeah.
now than ever.
I
And
need to
now's a
sit
good
down
time
with
to-
him. In fact, I bumped into him in Kenya at the airport. He was coming back. I was just arriving. We need to sit down. There needs
They
to be
should
more
put you in a
synergy.
T-shirt. They should brand your table wherever you're going. They should. there should be
Honestly,
more-
yes. Honestly,
Yeah.
yes. There's not enough happening. But I hope that it'll get better.
now he's a pretty young and forward-thinking person. That is something that I'm pretty sure that he can do. I'm going to tell you like just 5 names. Tell me the first word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Dutch.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yeah, yes or no. It's like the opposite of no.
Wait, what do you mean? That's the first word that comes to mind?
Oh, Sebastian Dutch. Yeah, I thought you were giving me words like Sebastian and then yes and then.
Yeah. So tell me the first word about that person that comes to mind whenever I mention the name.
Oh, okay. Sebastian. Well, the first word. First word is the second name of the artist's name, which is Dutch. But the first word would probably be house, like house music.
Does it do house music?
Yeah, it does.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and he's
Mwanza?
an amazingly talented. Mutale Mwanza would probably be controversy.
True. HH.
HH. Trying to find the actual word, like it's multiple words.
It's okay.
Like a new beginning, new start. New start.
Is that necessarily a good start?
I hope.
Okay.
I hope.
Okay. Any other names that come to mind, dude, that you could think?
Ben Lombe.
Diversity. I should be a politician. Huh?
You should be a politician. He's very diverse in every sense of the word. Now, dude, we need to wrap this up. This guy needs to go. We promise that we'll do this in an hour. We could run this all day long. There's a lot that we left on the table. I keep getting people that say, you did not ask this guy about A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
With me specifically, anything that you want to know about El Mukuka or that you want to know about any of the guests, you can simply Google. Mainly my approach, for real though.
It's true.
Yeah, mainly my approach is I would like to speak about social commentary.
Yeah.
We've had a back and forth
Yeah.
with this guy.
Yeah.
I had talking points of just general generic
Why
stuff.
did you bring them up?
I send those to you. Just general generic stuff about what's happening. You know what I mean? Starlink is coming into Zambia. We needed to speak more about that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, Tyler Perry has bought BET and VH1.
Yeah. Wow.
So how I look at this is I would want to have a chat with somebody that sort of has an opinion on stuff that's happening around us. Yeah. Of course, we want to know a bit more about your music, but there's just basic dialogue and conversation that we can have. Yeah. That's just basically how I've always wanted to.
It needs to be natural. It needs to flow. And sometimes you have a plan and it kind of goes the opposite direction and you go with it. That's life.
Yeah.
El Mukuka, Eleftherios Mukuka on this week's episode. Remember to click on subscribe. Our YouTube channel is growing quite slowly of late. I think we're not encouraging people to subscribe. God, but you putting that subscription thing on the screen?
No, he's not.
The last one, the Calabar one, I noticed in the first minute. Yeah, you should have it more often on the screen. So anyway, to the next episode.
Do you not hate people who call you on Facebook?
Yeah. That's not
that happens.
Yeah, I didn't even know people still call people.
Like, you don't have my phone number for a reason.
You're not in the inner circle.
No, bruh. Now you're just forcing shit.
Remember when you could poke people on Facebook?
Oh shit! I remember that.
Like you. All right. You look good.
Oh man, I'm so glad they removed that.
The poke, eh?
Yeah,
So
the
silly.
poke.
So
Anyway,
silly.
to the next episode. This gentleman has to go. You're flying out today?
No, I'm flying out in a few days.
Right.
But I just have a crazy schedule.
All right. To the next episode. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Dun 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 dun